It is your super sketch artist, Antonio, and this is my sketchy thoughts, where I talk about not only me as a person, but me also as an artist. If you would like to hear me talk about a different subject or a subject you want to hear me talk about, just leave a comment in all my social medias, antonio.clark.art, or on my YouTube, where this will be, available. With that being the case, today's episode is about, um, it's called Into the Spider Verse. Just to let y'all know, me being a comic book person, I will definitely do my best at making it so that all of my, you know, just titles are about something related to comics, because comics have been a big portion of my life. They literally saved my life. With that being the case, if you have seen Into the Spider Verse and Across the Spider Verse, the animated Spider Man movies, then you know it is about Miles Morales and um, how Miles Morales navigates feeling like he is the only person, and then finding out he is not the only person, and then he finds on a grander scale feeling alienated even when he is surrounded by people who are quote unquote like him. So let's talk about that and what that actually means. For me, growing up, you know, where I grew up at Baltimore, Maryland, you hang out with the kids in your neighborhood and you find out that, again, you're a child, so you feel so much like every other child that is there. And then next thing you know, you feel good. You feel like you are in, just this kind of little group or clique. And then as you get older, you start to change. I know that sometimes that happens quicker for some people, and sometimes it happens, later in life. You get to be 30 up. I'll be 45 in less than a month. And when you get older, you find out that you are no longer thinking like the herd. You're no longer thinking like these people that you might have been around your whole time. I know for myself, when I was about 12, that's when I decided I wanted to be an artist. That's when I decided I wanted to pursue like art. Like I wanted that to be my thing. Beforehand, I wanted to be an astronaut, which I know is crazy to think of, but yeah, I wanted to be an astronaut. I wanted to go to space. I wanted to do the whole zero gravity thing. I'm so tall and I didn't know how to flip. So I was like, if I go to space, I'll learn how I can flip real easy. It'll be great. I see aliens and all those types of things because, I was young and I just didn't know any better. I didn't know all the rigorous stuff. I remember I had space camp, and when you found out how much that cost, because I was very aware of money at a really young age since we didn't have any in my house, and just how much it was going to cost for all of that stuff. Like it was absolutely crazy. So with that being the case, I told myself, oof, when I got into art, like this is a thing that I love. I love my comics and stuff like that, but this is a thing I really can do. So I started going down the path of a comic artist or someone that loved comics. And I started drawing, and people liked it. But being a black male in a metropolitan city like Baltimore, that's not something that anyone even recognizes as a thing that you do. I'm tall too. I'm 6'4". So they're like, "Oh, won't you play sports?" And I did. I played sports. I ran track, played baseball, played basketball, did the things. None of that stuff gave me joy like how art gave me joy. None of that stuff lit that fire. I never was like, yes, put me in, coach. And I love to play sports. I love to be active. But none of that stuff really stuck with me deep down inside the way that art did. And I could do art and I thought about art. And I tell people all the time, as an artist, you see the world differently. You see the world differently. If you've ever seen the Lego movie, then you know that the builders that were in the Lego movie, they see the world differently. When they see where someone sees a pile of bricks, these builders see whatever they want to create before it's even created. And I tell people that's how it is for art. I can look at a blank sheet of paper and I already know what this vision is, and I can start to draw it, paint it, whatever, sculpt it, because I miss using clay, but I can see what it is. You might just see nothing, but I see something. And it also affects the way that you see the world. You know, one of my favorite producers, Pharrell Williams, he has him and his group NERD, they have an album called Seeing Sounds. And he says from a young age, he could see sound. And that's how it was for me as an artist. I saw things in an artistic way from such a young age. And once I grasped onto that, I never let it go. No matter what I did, like I tell people all the time, I've lived a million lifetimes. I was a soldier in the military. I was a shoe salesman. I've done everything from be Al Bundy to be G.I. Joe and everything in between. And I kept searching for those things. I kept going from thing to thing to thing to thing because I wasn't actually doing what it was that I was like, I don't want to say meant to do, but the thing that I love doing, the thing that makes my heart beat when I get up in the morning, like, yes, let's make some art, let's go create. So again, I'm a young kid, I'm doing my art, no one's thinking twice about it, and nobody's saying, oh, you shouldn't do it, until I was about 14 years old. And then at 14, I remember like it was yesterday, my stepfather told me, your art isn't good enough to be for Marvel and DC. And I was heartbroken. And, you know, I remember telling my friends that my one homeboy at the time, his name was Chris, and I told him what my dad said. And he's like, man, don't listen to him. And I remember I showed him a picture of Galactus, who's going to be in the new upcoming Fantastic Four movie. And he was like, oh, that's not good enough for Marvel. And the thing about people will tell you things based on their insecurities and their shortcomings. And especially in the older generation, what I always have to tell younger kids is, me being a person that's in the older generation, for them, my generation and the generation in front of me or behind me or in front of me, yeah, generation that came before me, let's say that generation that came before me, they didn't have proof. They didn't have a phone and the internet where they could see that just because there's nobody in their city that's doing what you want to do, there's someone across the planet that not only is doing what they want to do, but if they have a following of people that are into this thing. And when it came to art, I didn't see anyone who looked like me that was in the forefront. Nobody that looked like me that was, you know, there were people working for the Marvels and the DCs and the Disneys and stuff like that. And I thank God for those people that have laid the foundation for people like myself to just be an artist out there. But as a young kid, I just didn't see it. You know, growing up in Baltimore, I didn't see it. And then, you know, as I got older, I'll never forget. I was in we moved out of the city and moved into the county. And I'll never forget this day. I'm in art class and we had a representation from the Maryland Institute of Arts, MICA for short. It's one of the best art institutions in the nation. And they came to our school, came to our high school, which was like one of the best high schools. I went to a place called Howard High in Howard County. Shout out to them. And it was one of the best, you know, schools in the nation, coming to our school, which was one of the best high schools. And I'll never forget, I had a picture of Green Lantern, Kyle Rayner, my favorite Green Lantern, because he's an artist. And next thing you know, the people looked at it and they looked at me and looked at my homeboy Chris, and they was like, we don't really support that here. And again, it was like, well, what? But hold on, like this is art. This is, what do you mean you don't support art? What do you mean? Again, I was heartbroken. I was heartbroken. Oh my gosh, that messed me up. But I kept going, kept pursuing, and I ended up wanting to go to a school called Savannah College of Art and Design in Savannah, Georgia. But it was so expensive, which led me to go into the military so I can get money for my GI Bill and all that jazz. And then when I got it, school was the furthest thing away from my mind because I had already been just living life. I got caught in the hamster wheel of working. In the military, if no one to tell you, the military is just a job. It is a job. Like, you have a uniform, the same as every other uniformed job in the world. You have a set of rules and regulations, the same as every job that has rules and regulations that you have to follow. Only with this job, you might end up having to fight other people in a way that you might not like. And that's really the big thing I was always tell people is like, the military is like any job. I got a boss, that boss got a boss, their boss's boss got a boss, and they tell us what to do, and we do the thing, and we go home. On a day-to-day basis, that's what it is. So, and I got out of I got out of training for the military 2 weeks before 9/11 happened. I'll never forget it. 2 weeks before 9/11 happened, I was done my AIT training. Um, and at my AIT in Fort Lee, Virginia, I don't know if it's still there, but I painted a mural on the ground, and that was a big achievement for me. And at my last duty station in Colorado, I did something called a challenge coin, which is when you do a great job in the military, your commanding officer gives you something called a challenge coin. Some people collect them. I was able to create one for my last duty station in Colorado Springs. I'm saying all this to say, I was living a life where I wasn't doing the thing that I actually really wanted to. So what does this have to do with the Spider Verse? Just like Miles, he was just going about his day and everything like that. And then you're just kind of mulling around, and he wants to go and he wants to be at this school for smart people and everything like that, because that's where he belongs. He's going to the regular school, but he belongs in this other school. And that's what I knew. I belonged with other artistic people and creative people, and I wasn't doing that, so I was feeling unfulfilled. And then what happened is, years and years and years go by. Again, I'm unhappy. I'm going to therapy all the time. I'm depressed because I'm not doing this thing that's deep down inside, like every day. I'm not doing this thing that I sit at my corporate job in my cubicle and draw all day. I was posting like 15 times a day on Instagram. I have all these Instagram posts because I hated work. And then so I moved to New York, right? And then now I jump into this artistic space where I moved here to be around other artists. This was supposed to be the thing. This is the thing. This is the dream that they sell you. This is the dream. Go to New York, be an artist, go to East Village and hang out with all these people and go to the galleries and the museums and all these different things. And that's when I had a really big gut punch, realistically. I found out that it's all these people that can do what I can do, right? And they got better connections than me. They have, better art than me. All the things that make it so that one person has and one person doesn't, right? But here is just like Miles in the Spider-Man movies. This is where you have to find your individuality. And this extends past artwork. You as a person, you have something that only you do. There's some other people that might look like you, because Lord knows I get told that all the time. Oh, don't you look like you related to this person? I'm like, oh, well, us light skinned people, we kind of look alike. That's a joke that I have. So they might do the things, they might sound the same, look the same, but they are not you. They aren't you. The joy of the situation is you get to dictate who and what you are in the world, even when the world is trying to put you in a box. You get to decide actually what that box looks like, as a matter of fact. I'm here to tell you, you get to decide what that box looks like. If you want to be put in a box, you get to actually decide what the wrapping paper looks like, if it's a bow on it or not. You get to decide. Why? Because you yourself are an individual. And again, there is nobody like you. I know you've heard that before. There's no one like you, and it's all about individuality. That is the most true thing that I've heard, not only from normal people, but also from social media and also from like just fictional works of art. Even if you take it to different, movies and stuff that we've watched all throughout the years, say something like Terminator 2. Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator 2 played a Terminator that was kind of like these other Terminators, but he was different. And even when other Terminators came, they kept upgrading and they were different. It still was something about him that made him different. When you watch all these other movies that we love, these characters that we love, they stick out because they are different. They don't go along with the herd. They don't go along with the status quo. They stick out. I always say show up and show out. That's what the world remembers. It remembers those that show up and show out. This coincides with what I had talked about in my first episode, Stop Trying to Be Clark Kent, right? So many of us try to get put in a box of mediocrity. I'm here to tell you, once you get out of that box of mediocrity, you still can feel mediocre. When you see what other people can do, it's staggering sometimes to be like, oh my gosh, I thought I was the only one that can do this. But the joy of the situation is you can have the same skills as someone else, but it still can be absorbed differently because of who you are. So, say this past weekend, I was in Macy's drawing some folks at an event that they were having in the Ralph Lauren store. It's great. There's other artists right there. Not only was there another artist that I was working with that was drawing people, but there were other artists that were just coming in the store randomly because, most people are artists. And when you ask people to see their artwork, it all looks different. I'm saying this to say, don't shrink yourself down or shrink away or shy away just because there might be some competition or somebody that looks just like you or does the same thing that you are. It then becomes your job to push your individuality forward. Yeah, I know it's a whole bunch of people who are dressed like me, all these things, but they can't do this one thing that I can do. And it just might be one thing, but it's your job to find that one thing that you do and push it out there. Y'all listening to my voice right now, there are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of podcasts out there, people saying this and that. I could have, and I did at one point in time, say nobody wants to hear my voice because I'm just a guy. That's one thing I always say. I'm just a guy. I'm a guy. Nobody wants to hear me just ramble and talk and da 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 da. Nobody wants to hear that. And I couldn't be more wrong. There are people that want to hear what I have to say from my point of view. So it's up to you. It is up to you to do the same exact thing. Find that thing, if you don't already know, that makes your heart pump, that gets you up in the morning, that keeps you up late at night, and go out and do it. And do it to the best of your ability. Do it to the greatest extent that you can. No matter how many people are doing the same thing. I always tell people, one of my favorite analogies is walk down the bread aisle when you feel away. Think about that. People say, well, what does bread have to do with anything? Antonio, I said, look at all these people. They make bread. Everybody makes bread. It's all the same thing. It's just bread. Well, okay, wheat bread, white bread, honey wheat bread, keto bread. It's still just bread. Wonder Bread isn't going to stop making bread just because the store brand, whatever store you might be in, also has a store brand bread. And the store brand bread isn't going to not make its own version of bread just because Wonder Bread is a well known brand. We live in a world where we have infinite access to people, places, and things. Some give people access to you and your gifts, your talent, who you are, the essence of you as a person. Give them access to that. The worst that can happen is nobody likes it. Okay, go back to doing whatever it is that you wanted to do. But why not? Why not try? And why not put your best foot forward? I always tell my son, give maximum effort. Why not give maximum effort? That's what this podcast is for me. This is me pushing maximum effort out. This is me saying, I know there's other people. I know y'all can listen to this person. Sure. I know you already listened to somebody that probably sounds exactly like me and maybe saying the same thing. But I still want you to listen to me too. I still have something to say as well. Again, from an artistic standpoint, there's tons of people who draw comics and things of that nature. Everybody can draw. Everybody that I know can draw Spider-Man and stuff like that, artist-wise. That still doesn't mean that I can't enjoy it too. When you go to a Comic-Con, you go to Artist Alley, there are tons of people there that are selling the same, maybe 30 figures or 30 characters. Everyone's drawing the same characters, the Batmans, the Supermans, the Spider-Mans, the Wonder Womans, all those types of characters, the Wolverines. Everyone's doing that. Everyone's even cosplaying as that. Nobody is going to say, oh, well, just because this other, just like, they literally take pictures of groups of, like, say, Spider-Man. They'll take a group of Spider-Man, all the Spider-Men they can find, and take a group shot of them. And people love it. Don't let the fact that just because you are doing something that someone else is doing stop you. And just because you might feel inferior about it. Again, my cosplay doesn't cost as much as this other person's cosplay, so I can't do it. My art, I didn't use all this fancy art tools and tablets and stuff to make this art, so why does anybody want to see it? Nobody wants to hear me sing. Nobody wants to see me dance. Nobody wants to eat my cooking. Nobody wants me to do their hair or their makeup because, stop. Put all that to rest and jump into the Spider-Verse. Surround yourself with those people so you can grab inspiration, so you can see how these people might do this thing and absorb everything that you can, all the knowledge, all the experience that you can from these people and the community. That's the one thing that you saw in the Across the Spider-Verse movie, was that they had a community. Oh, we are the same. We aren't alone. This thing happened to me. This tragedy happened to me. That's the one thing that you'll find, especially in humanity, is that, that's a saying or it's a term, trauma bonding, right? I'm not going to tell you to trauma bond with anybody, but subconsciously, that's what we do. Oh man, this happened to me. My childhood was so messed up. Yeah, me too. And now y'all talking about something else. An hour later, y'all might be talking about your favorite music. You might bond over a sad song or a sad movie or any of these things, right? Find community. In this day and age, society wants us apart. It wants to separate us. It wants us to fight each other. It wants us to point at each other. Just like the Spider-Man meme, like, who are you? Not knowing that if we actually work together, we can create amazing things as a community. As a brother and sisterhood, we can create amazing things, and we as humans grow as a people. like the saying goes, it takes a village to raise a child, right? Sure, you can just do it with one or even two parents, but a child is way more well off when you have a myriad of different people that can help bring them up and support the parents as well. So let yourself be supported. One of my favorite drawings that I drew a long time ago was a picture of me falling back, and I had all these hands propping me up because it's hard for me to ask for support. It's hard for me to reach out and ask for guidance of any kind. To ask, just to ask, is hard for me, right? Because my pride, again, I was raised by two very prideful men, so it's hard for me to put that pride aside and ask for the things that I really want in life. Still to this day, I've gotten a lot better with it, but still to this day, I still don't want to ask for the things that I want to ask for. I still don't want to say, oh, well, I need this, and oh man, I'm struggling with this, and could you help me with this? And the word help makes me feel weak. And that's the silliest thing in the world, because everyone needs somebody. There's a song. Everybody needs somebody sometime. Everybody needs somebody sometime. From birth, you need somebody. As a matter of fact, to be born, you need somebody to do. You need other people to do something so you can even be born. How about that? So we continuously need somebody. And as we grow older, we continue to need people. So why in the world would we isolate ourselves and act like we're an island unto ourselves? I don't need anybody. I don't, huh? Put the pride aside. Put the jealousy aside. Put the envy aside. Because that's what I'll have you doing that. Put the perfectionism aside. Envy and perfectionism is a nasty cocktail. That's a nasty cocktail. You being envious of somebody and then all of a sudden wanting to feel like you got to be perfect so you can top them and one up them, oof, that'll keep you stuck. For some people, it's driven them to the top. But I guarantee if you actually talk to them and they look back at it, they'll tell you that they were going through hell trying to keep up with the Joneses or trying to surpass somebody that probably didn't even know that they were in competition with that person. That's the worst. You know, all of my art buddies, I secretly wanted to be better than them. Like, oh, it's Pokemon out here. It's like I want to be the very best, like no one ever was. I wanted to be the best. I got to be the best. But that's the silliest thing in the world. Why? Because especially when it comes to art, and I think we are all walking pieces of art. Art is subjective. And like the saying goes, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So what is great? Some people might love Jackson Pollock. Some people might love Jim Lee. Those are two artists that are very, very different from each other. And there are people that can look at both of those artists' works and say, I love both of them. But there are some people that'll look at one and then despise the other and vice versa. So it's called put yourself out there and strip away all the things that can become stumbling blocks for you. Also, like, we have to take the glasses of judgment off of ourselves. And the Across the Spider-Verse movie, once Miles gets into the meat of the story, he says a line that they used that says, nah, I'm gonna do my own thing. We have to take off those glasses of judgment and see our lives and what we do for really what it is, and knowing that that's how you get ahead, by doing your own thing. That's how you actually win at life, is by doing your own thing. I know we love to live in the herd mentality. That's just like not only humans but animals too. But you can do your own thing and still have community. You don't have to isolate yourself to be an individual. Oof, that's a bar. You do not have to isolate yourself to be an individual. You actually can still be an individual and be unique in your individuality with a group of people, with a tribe, One of my friends told me, you got to find your tribe, Tony. You got to find your tribe. I still haven't found my tribe. Various reasons why, but I still haven't found my tribe. I would love to have it the way that I used to have it when I was young, where me and my friend Chris would just sit and draw. Like, we'd come home from school every day, watch cartoons and stuff like that. I would eat a bag of Twizzlers. Thank God for his mother buying all these snacks every daggone day. I'm sure she probably was like, why is this tall child just eating all my snacks, all my Tostitos? But we would just sit and eat snacks, watch TV, and just draw until it was time to go to bed. Like, I would come home and walk to his house, which was around the corner, stay at his house all day. Shout out to him and shout out to Miss Lori. But with that being the case, I wish I could go back to, and I thought I was going to find that in New York. And that's something I'm still trying to find. I'm still trying to find my tribe of people that I can just get together with, and let's just do some art. Let's make some art. Let's bounce ideas off of each other. Let's be inspired by each other's creativity. Let's not feel that urge to be envious with one another because I might like your art better than mine. And that's something that I myself have to always battle with, is that struggle not to be envious. Because the reality is, there's enough for all of us. There's enough for all of us. Society will want you to think that there's not enough pie for everybody. That's the furthest thing away from the truth. There's enough pie for everybody. And you can get your slice. Everybody can have a slice of pie. You do not have to have and make it so someone else doesn't have. And in our society and as humans, that's a big part of humanity is, oh, I gotta get mine. I gotta get mine. I gotta get mine. You don't have to do that. We can get ours. We can get ours. You can get yours, but I'm gonna get mine too. And I'm gonna help you get yours. And the cool thing is, sometimes me getting mine involves you also getting yours too. Let me help you up, and helping you up also helps prop me up as well. It's a win-win situation. If you go into a situation thinking that way, like, this can be a win-win for both of us, for everyone that's involved, this can be a win-win situation. When I go out and I do my events or I do a commission, I go into it with that mentality. When somebody commissions me to do art, this is a win-win for both of us. Not only do I get to show my art to this person and they get to own something original from me, but I get to strengthen my skills with every brush stroke, with every stroke of that stylus. I get to strengthen it. I get to push my name out there into the universe. It's a win-win situation. They get something and I get something. When I do these events, I enjoy just talking to the people, engaging with the people. We are so much alike than we are separate. Again, going back to the Spider-Verse, we're so much alike. Most of us like and enjoy the same things. Why are we isolating ourselves mentally and physically? Why are we being so caught up in trying to be, I'm the only one. It's only me. There's nobody else like, yes, there is no one else like you. 100% that is. But there's tons of people. There's tons of tall, light-skinned men that like comics. I know there is. There's even one of my favorite comedians, his name's Tony Baker. Tall, light-skinned man, or kind of caramel, but bald head, funny is all get out. The funniest comedian I know. And I seen him live, and funny as funny could be. Loves comics and all the Marvel stuff, all the things. DC, everything. So I tell people all the time, it's like, we're more alike than we are separate. But knowing that, now you can go out and find your tribe. Knowing that now you can press what you do well. You can press that forward. Your individuality, you can press that forward. You can press that forward. You can live in that, and you can live in that individuality and let it be a shining light for you. Not something that you got to keep hidden. You don't got to keep it hidden. Like the song says, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Nobody shines their light just like you. Again, going back to Spider-Verse, Miles could do something that none of the other spider people could do. That's a joy. And most of them shot webs, but there still was other spider people who even shot webs differently. We all shoot webs, but oh, you shoot it differently than me. The joy of the situation is you get to live in that. You get to choose. You get to choose. I tell people all the time, choice is so important in this life. And one big choice that you have to make is not only how are you going to be viewed in the eyes of the public, but also how you view yourself. When you look in that mirror, what do you really see? Do you see something worth sharing with others? Do you see someone that's worth love and affection and admiration and all this other things? What do you actually see? I would challenge you to say, if you don't see something that you like, now is the time for you to change that. Now is the time for you to do your own thing. Now is the time for you to see yourself differently. Now is the time. No time like the present. Now is the time for you to see yourself and what you can do for what it really is. It's not just a silly thing or, oh, nobody cares about this. And what I always tell my students is the joy of the situation is there's at least one person that'll give you $1 for whatever it is that you do. It is now your job to become someone that can find 1,000 people that will give you at least $1 for what you do. You find those 1,000 people, you got $1,000. 9 times out of 10, it's more than 1,000 people. But it's your job to find those people that want what you have to offer. As a creative person, as an artist, just as a human being, whatever skill that it is that you have, whatever thing that makes your heart beat, whatever thing that you do, no time like the present. I know you might feel like for some people that might be listening to this, the time is past. Oh my gosh, Antonio, I can't do this. The time is past. Sweet Jesus. Well, Samuel Jackson didn't start acting like in a real way until he was in his 40s. That might be a cliche, but it's true. Someone like Colonel Sanders didn't start KFC until he was in his, I think, 60s. There's a myriad of different people who didn't make it until they got older in life. And now we live in the best time in the world because now the age restrictions are off. The age restrictions are off. I absorb content from people that are younger than me and older than me and around the same age as me. All different tiers. And I enjoy it just the same. Why don't you let people enjoy who you are and what you have to offer? The answer is you should, and the time is now. That's it. The time is now. So just stop holding yourself back. Not only from your own greatness, but from the greatness that other people will find from seeing you. People fail to understand that some people will get to the next level simply because they were able to see you. Again, one of my favorite artists, his name's Jim Lee. So many millions of artists picked up a pencil because of this man. Same way as, Basquiat and, all the other famous, artists in the past and stuff, the painters and stuff, Picasso, all those guys. People picked up a paintbrush because of those people. Some people started singing because they heard Whitney Houston and Michael Jackson, all these different people, and Prince and all these different things. So it's called let yourself be an inspiration. Can you imagine what the world would have been like? I can't imagine what the world would have been like if I didn't have Prince in my life. And Prince was completely different than any other person that came before him. And there's a lot of imitators of Prince, but we know who the original person was that was like him. And it was him. And if he would have said, well, just because James Brown was alive, and just because Michael Jackson was around, and just because Sam Cooke was around, and Smokey Robinson and all those people, and all, if all these other people, Bootsy Collins and all these people, and Funkadelic, just because they did it, I can't do it. No, I can't do it. We would have been robbed of some of the greatest music that's ever been made, and one of the greatest entertainers and musicians that's ever existed. Don't let yourself rob the world and yourself of your own greatness. Do your own thing. Put it out there in the world. Somebody needs to see you be you. Somebody needs to see it. Somebody needs to see you standing in your own greatness. Someone needs to see you being bold and being proud of who and what you have to offer and putting it out there in the world. Not just artistically, but just as a person. Just as a person. It could be your style of dress, it could be how you wear your hair, it could be the words that you say. Someone needs to see, hear it, absorb it. Somebody needs it. It might be me. It might be me. You might be the person that's listening to this. You might be the next person I end up podcast or YouTube or whatever, or social media I might end up following. Who knows? I don't know. But what I do know is that I'll never get to absorb anything that you have if you don't put it out there. I'll never know. So again, jump into the Spider-Verse. Trust me, there's a bunch of people out here that are waiting for you. Waiting for you. There's a tribe of people that are waiting for you. And it's then once you get into the Spider-Verse, go across the Spider-Verse and cement your space. Plant your flag. I tell people all the time, I let my geek flag fly everywhere I go. You're going to know everywhere I go that I'm a comic book guy. And if you don't know, by the time we finish talking, you're going to know. You're going to know two things. You're going to know two things. I'm from Baltimore, and I'm an artist who likes comics. You're going to know those two things by talking to me. Those two things, I'm going to tell you that in every conversation. You're going to know those two things. Let people know who you are and what you got to offer. With that being the case, these are my sketchy thoughts. I had that on my brain. And with the way that the world is right now, there's so many people that are sharing their voices, and there's so many people that still need to let their voices be heard. I hope that you that are listening to this or watching this decide today that you want your voice to be heard, that you want your voice to, or that you want yourself to be seen. You know, share it with the world. There's no time like the present. All of us got an expiration date. Why not? Right? Why not? None of us are getting out of here alive. Why not? Why not? The answer is you should. I thank you for listening. Again, if you have any type of topics you would like me to talk about, please leave a comment, send me a message, DM me. I thank you for listening. If you're still listening at this point, I thank you for listening to the sound of my voice and what I have to say. It means more than you ever will know. Again, this is your super sketch artist, Antonio. Be good to yourself. Be good to others. Go be super.